Rwanda is set to boost fuel reserves, which will cost $84 million to cushion the country against supply shocks. The new law on petroleum in Rwanda has similarities with petroleum laws in Kenya and Uganda, which confirm discoveries of oil. Under the new law governing petroleum exploration and production activities, an exploration license is valid for 3 years, while a production investor is given a license valid up to 25 years. This law was developed in response to the country's upstream petroleum policy, which was adopted by the cabinet in June 2013 as government moved to regulate the petroleum industry. But what is it all about?
This so-called downstream petroleum law was enacted actually 2 years ago. The main purpose is to have a complete legal framework to regulate the distribution of petroleum product in the country, from imports or refinery, if we have any, up to the end consumer. So there are a number of intermediaries which are involved, like importers of oil, or distributors who operate petrol station. All these have to be governed by a number of principles. They have rights, they have obligations. All these are now embedded in this new downstream petroleum law. Before, the Ministry of Trade and Industry was the regulator, but there was no clear legal framework, and most of the time all these traders, when they want to operate business of distributing oil, they went to RDB just register and then start business. While this is a very specific business which need to be operated according to some specific regulations.
Even with the signing of the new law, all rights of ownership and control of petroleum production remain vested only in the state. Private sector players are immediate beneficiaries of this new law development. Take, for example, Energy Resources Petroleum ERP. Established in 2012, the company now trades up to 50,000 metric tons of petroleum annually. Let's talk about the new petroleum law and the exploration in regards to the future, rather in regards to your company, the exploration bit of it.
Yes, indeed. With the new law, it's going to really help us when we come to self-sufficiency, meaning that exploration of oil, production, and eventually refining. That means it's going to help us control a bigger chain of our business. Because currently, we have to buy products that have been refined pretty far. Have been refined in India, Dubai, Singapore, and so on and so forth. So the exploration standard helps us really control our business. And that means we own the crude, which is a raw material for us. And if we could refine it close by, either in Uganda or in Kenya, it will not only make us more efficient, it will definitely reduce the cost. The new law really looks at when oil has been discovered, so to speak.
So we're looking at Kenya probably after Uganda starting to explore its oil, and then looking at Kenya next year in July, then that means in 2018 probably.
Probably further than that, because what happens typically, oil is discovered, is explored, then it's produced. It's like 3 steps. So first, we are still talking about first step, where we believe there is oil somewhere within our land. So now we need to be explored and find out exactly what we have, whether it's heavy crude, whether it's light crude. It's probably the same quality as Uganda. Now, the third step is production, meaning digging it out of the ground, but still as raw material. Then, the final step is to refine it. That is where we'll have to gather our thoughts, because we believe there are going to be to build a refinery in Uganda. There is one in Mombasa that's not very well functional. So whatever it takes, I mean, it's going to benefit us because it means we are dealing with our own raw material. That means we can get into exports. It means we can earn foreign currency and also control the currency we need to import. So it would be very beneficial, not only for us, for the country as a whole.
Globally, huge businessmen in this industry are facing a hard time with the volatile oil industry. For example, Aliko Dangote, one of the premiers, recently his share price dropped by $3.7 billion. Now, joining us on the show is Serge Kajeguhakwa, who is the CEO of Energy Resources Petroleum, to explain to us what informs medium-sized players to stay in this volatile oil industry. We've seen huge businessmen in this industry losing a lot of money. For example, Dangote, his price share of 3.7 billion. Now, what informs medium players like you to actually stay in this oil industry?
Well, it's very challenging, like you said. You know, it's very volatile. We're unable to predict what's going to happen in the next months. The hedging business is very expensive because it's extremely volatile. And I think in the next 6 months to 12 months, things are going to stabilize. But unfortunately, we just had another event that we're not sure what the Brexit that just happened. We're not sure how it's going to affect our market as well. We saw that last week the barrel took off about $3 off just from the news of the exit of the Britain, Europe. So we are not sure. The
growth of oil and gas sector in Rwanda plays a paramount role in the country's economic growth that is emerging progressively. Much as the government is investing heavily in the development of strategic fuel reserves, private sector participation is also being encouraged to take part in building and operating the sector effectively. Is the industry in Rwanda competitive enough? Is there even room for competition?
It's quite competitive. But also there's room for new entrances, and competition is always good for the current players. It makes them more efficient. It makes them deliver better service to the consumer, and somehow reduces the cost as well to the consumer.
Consumers, our only contact with petroleum products is at the pump with our cars and motors. Now, learning about this business of oil products, we are at ERP, Energy Resources Petroleum Depot, to get an insider's view. Now here, 10 to 20 trucks are discharged a day. The oil is actually kept in the reserves and then re-exported to other markets. Stay with me. Established in 2012 to drive the supply of oil products to the Rwandan market and across Central Africa, ERP, Energy Resources Petroleum, is a major supplier of white products such as premium motor spirits, automotive gas oil, heavy fuel oil, and light fuel oil.
We are primarily a trading company, so we require a lot of trade finance. We from banks, from equity markets, but like you said, logistics is also very, very capital intensive because of our situation on the map. Being landlocked, we have to pretty much load trucks on a daily basis. So that's where most of our funding goes to.
With branches in Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi and Zambia, ERP offloads about 80 operational trucks of petroleum. But are they sufficient for the markets? How many trucks do come in a day?
So normally we offload on a day between 10 to 20 trucks in a day. So the truck that we offload, that is for the two combined products, I mean diesel and petrol. So the truck that we offload, they are sourced from either Dar es Salaam or Kenya.
So they bring in the petrol from Dar es Salaam or Kenya.
Yeah.
So in total, how many operation trucks are we looking at?
So in total, that is what you offload, the capacity of the depot for offloading. But however, we have a number of trucks on the parking waiting to offload. So in a week, we normally bring more than 80 trucks.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah, it's sufficient on the
basis.
basis.
Looking forward to increasing the number.
Yeah, we are looking forward to increase the number because the market still have some opportunities.
In 2015, total annual trade volumes at ERP were estimated to be 50,000 metric tons, where only 25,000 metric tons was traded in Kigali and the rest re-exported to other markets. Yeah, you said last year you traded 50,000 metric tons.
Yes.
And 25 was just in Rwanda.
Yes.
So where did the 25,000, where did the 25,000 go?
So when you look on the market segments, we are doing wholesale. Here that is what we sell to reseller customers. Those are the other oil companies who are not participating in the importation, who brings product. We bring product, they only sell them on trucks. So that is what makes the 25,000 metric tons that have been sold here locally. So the other 25,000 metric tons, we do re-export. So the location of Rwanda gives us the opportunity to re-export to Eastern DRC, then even to Burundi.
Stored fuel is mainly imported from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Currently, Rwanda is a fuel transit route to some other neighboring countries, including Burundi and DRC. How do you get these products? Where do you get it from? In the Middle East or somewhere in Africa?
So, okay, most of the product that we brought in Rwanda, it is from the Middle East. When you look, we get sourced either from Dar es Salaam, that is Tanzania, or from Kenya, that is through Mombasa. So when the vessel comes to Dar es Salaam, it is charged into different depots that are located there. From there, the trucks that you see here, we load them from at Dar es Salaam level or Kenya level. At Kenya level, we have different loading points. We either load from Mombasa, we either load from Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu, or Eldoret, depending on the trader who we are dealing with.
The services provided at the depot incorporate storage of petroleum products for local consumption and regional export, hospitality for local and regional marketers, and in-tank sales.
The bay for loading. This bay for loading, there is the meter for AGO. This is the meter of AGO. This is the meter for PMS. So when the owner of the products in the tanks, they came, they bring what we call loading order. Loading order is like a check. It's like a check. When somebody gives you the check, the bank gives you the money. So that means when the owner release the loading order, we have the specimen of those owners of the products. Then we release we load for the clients. For example, there's many petrol stations here and the wholesalers. We can load about 40 trucks.
40 trucks?
20 PMS, 20 AGO.
Oh, so altogether is
yeah.
And how many come in a day?
A day it's about 20 trucks.
But how is the consumption of oil products in Rwanda as compared to other markets?
I think our consumption almost doubles the Burundi consumption, and the DRC market. I'll talk about the East DRC. It's quite high, and it's growing as well, and it's a market that we also serve, and we're looking forward at also serving further into DRC. And it helps our balance sheet actually, because it's an export business. So we earn hard currency, we earn US dollars, and we're trying to do it as much as possible in terms so that we can bring back the dollars.
On average, Rwanda consumes about 25 to 30 million liters of petroleum a month, meaning that in case of a crisis, what is in the reserves would only last a week. The poor performance of the Rwandan franc against the dollar has largely affected oil dealers in the country.
We import in US dollars, and we sell in francs, Rwanda francs, and it tends to appreciate. So we do find some challenges of, and what I would say, well, we cannot control the losses of the exchange rates. And what would actually help us is if we could get like money market. If we could get a money market structure where we're able to hedge a currency against another, that will actually be able actually to control the cost and know what it's going to be. So today we'll have to, just what we do, we somehow guess what it may be, and we try and work towards that. But like I said, a money market scheme would really help us a lot.
Now, in the news, everyone talks about global prices as the biggest challenge, you know, in the articles everywhere that you read. But what else within that is actually a big challenge, especially in Rwanda?
Yeah, Rwanda being a landlocked country, the challenge to us is really the logistics. That is even more challenging to us than the price of the oil itself. We import from two ports, Kenya and Tanzania ports. And the logistics that we have to load trucks on a daily basis. So the challenge is such that we found ourselves in front of a big task, risks. So the projects that are coming, such as pipelines and rail, will definitely help reduce those challenges and make it more efficient and most probably make it cheaper as well.
Minister Francois Kanimba further explains how re-exportation of oil products contributes to the Rwandan exports.
I don't have the number exactly to tell you it's $1 million per annum or two. But what we have seen over time is a very rapid increase of these re-exports of oil. On an annual basis, we are exporting oil in DRC, sometime in Burundi, in an amount of something around $100 million.
Serge Kajeguhakwa believes that the discovery of oil in neighboring countries will reduce on the high transport costs they have been incurring. So how will the discovery of oil in neighboring Uganda and Kenya change your business model?
Discovery of oil in Kenya and Uganda will enhance our efficiency. What I mean by that is that we've discovered oil closer to us, meaning that it's going to reduce the cost of getting to us, because most of the oil we sell today maybe is discovered in West Africa, is discovered in Saudi Arabia. That means it has to be refined there, transported to the ports, and trucked to us. So we're going to cut all that off. It means it will be discovered.
And yet we are not sure if Uganda is actually going to give us a discount, or Kenya. Do you think it will be cheaper compared to what we get from Saudi Arabia?
I believe so. It might not be cheaper in terms of cost of oil. It might be at world markets, but the fact that it's done is refined and discovered next to us, it will be cheaper to get to us. It will not go on any vessel. It will just go on a truck to us. So we'll cut that cost of transportation.
It's very difficult to anticipate what is going to happen. It will depend on the cost of these regional refineries. If they provide better price than what we can get from the international market, we may buy from them. But our expectation is that because the transport of oil from far away in the Middle East up to Rwanda is quite very expensive. If we can save on this component and get oil from Uganda, we do expect some saving simply from that component of the transport cost. Otherwise, oil is traded internationally and the prices are fixed by the market. I don't think either Uganda or Kenya, if they produce oil, they will give to Rwanda a preference price. We don't expect such kind of thing. It will be international prices while going to get oil from Uganda or from Kenya. But the cost of transport, because they are closer to us, may be a significant benefit.
As the government pushes strategic fuel reserves to cushion the country against supply shocks, Energy Resources Petroleum is also set to double its current capacity by 2017.
In our expansion, we are still going to expand on our fossil fuel businesses in terms of storage capacity. We want to be able to store more and able to have stock security in terms of having stocks on ground. We're looking at doing more than double current capacity. So we're looking at about 18,000 cubes, which is 18 million liters, in phases. And phase one has started already because there's a big amount of civil works involved. So we're already working on the civil work and looking forward to actually adding tanks. And by the end of the year, beginning of next year, we should have at least doubled our current capacity.
As the industry grows, ERP is also expanding in other sources of energy.
We are looking into other sources of energy, such as solar. We're looking to produce electricity with renewable energies. Because what we've been doing now is fossil fuels. We've been trading in fossil fuels, and we are moving towards cleaner and more efficient energy, such as solar.